Yo, what's up? I'm Travis.
And I'm Nick.
And we are girlfriends, and we're hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
First time we get to talk as girlfriends, and I'm super excited because your debut album did something or gave me an experience that I had not felt since I was in high school. And basically, when that album came out, my girlfriend and I went out to get food. We were listening to the record on in the car, and then we came home, and instead of eating our food inside, we sat in the car and just listened to the record over and over. And I haven't felt that since like high school with like Newfound Glory releasing records and stuff like that. So congratulations with that, and thank you for creating such a masterpiece that you guys did with that debut album.
Oh man, thank you so much. I mean, I feel like that is how I listen to my favorite records as well. Like I can remember when Say Anything put out Is a Real Boy, dude. I went straight to the record store when those still existed. I bought the CD, I ripped open the cellophane, I put it in my car, and just drove around and listened to the entire thing. So to hear you say that about the music that we made is that's special, man. Thank you.
It was definitely, I was like, this feels so nostalgic. I don't remember any other record other than Newfound Glory or Good Charlotte that I used to do this to, and it's like it was amazing. It was such a cool feeling, and then now we're here for the sophomore record, and I'm super excited about it. It's different from that debut album. You guys, I feel like you got more vulnerable, lyric wise, story wise, but it's different. It just gives me a new kind of vibe, a new era of girlfriends. So dive me into that creative process and like that initial process of like, hey, we're getting ready to do album number 2.
Man, I'd say we took our time with it a lot more. Like first album we probably did in 4 months, 4 to 5 months. This one it was about a year and a half. We wanted to kind of experiment, I think, sonically a bit more. Take our time with how drums sound. Take our time with revisions of lyrics and melody changes, and just trying to get the best, I would say, possible outcome for the album. And the first it was just a lot different of a process, I would say. Even though it was me, Travis, and Feldy, it still felt different. We experimented with different songwriters, which I think Travis and I weren't total fans of. I think we find it best when it's just me, Feldy, and Travis in a room together. But we wanted just to kind of experiment with other people in the room and getting different energies going. And I think we probably did well over close to probably 60 songs, and had to narrow it down to 15 songs, which was tough, but we thought about how the album would flow from start to finish a lot differently than the first album, and just wanted to create a kind of an experience with this thing, that was a little bit different and a more evolved and mature sound for what we're doing as a band. So we're stoked.
Yeah. Now, as far as like lyrically, as I mentioned earlier, it feels like you're more vulnerable, especially the last 2 tracks. I feel like that's where you open up the most. Track 13, it was like the heaviest, where I felt like you really open up to your audience. That's not something that we're used to with your music, even back in the day. It's like, so what was that for you? What was that process like? Is that something that you had to work with or work on before you actually got comfortable being vulnerable? Or is this something that like it was time to kind of spill it out?
Yeah, I think, since the inception of Girlfriends, it's always been this vessel for me to be my most authentic, true, and honest self. And this band, this outlet allows me to kind of say the things that I've always wanted to say, make the music that I've always wanted to make, and just be completely raw and honest. And, to your point, yeah, like my old music, I didn't really know how to articulate everything that I felt, and a lot of it was kind of, quote unquote, like a show, like putting on a show. This is like, it's my thoughts, it's my feelings, it's my experiences, and it's kind of just laid out all in the songs.
Now with these tracks, you mentioned you did about 60 tracks before you guys finalized the record, but going back in with Feldy, how different was it this time around? Because like now you guys, I mean, obviously you guys have worked with him for years outside of this band, but coming in a second time with the same producer, like I feel like the dynamic is always different. So how did he get you guys to step out of that comfort zone and be better artists this time around?
I think this time around, which was different, is that we wrote a lot of like demos and stuff outside of Feldy's studio. We brought them into Feldy, which we didn't really do on the first record. We kind of wrote everything like the day that we were in the studio. We wrote a song, and then that song ended up on the album. This time around, we got to like write demos, listen to them, see what we wanted to revise. When we went to Feldy, it was kind of like, all right, now let's like polish this. Let's like make it what it is, which was a cool experience for us.
What about drum wise for you?
Man, drum wise is kind of consistent, honestly, with the first album. Just like outside of just being able to have more time to experiment with how drums sound and different drum parts. Like there are parts of songs where we were like, the song's in 4/4 time. What if we did a bridge that was like in 7/4 timing and something that just feels totally different from where the track is? And like, let's experiment with that and start with a drum part that, Nick, just go for it. There was a lot more of that kind of like experimental freedom, I think, with this second album, which was nice compared to the first one where it was just like, got the idea today, let's go in, I'm going to lay a quick drum thing and let's move on to the next thing. So it was cool in that sense.
Now, the fact that you guys got to once again write together on this record, Nick, for you, like back in the day, you got to co-write with a lot of other people, especially Captain Cuts mainly. So having those experiences and actually working with them, like in the production side as well, and coming into this project, like how do you feel like those experiences prepped you for the music that you're creating today?
I mean, I don't I don't know. I think it's just been nice to have going back to earlier of just being like, man, having Travis, myself, and Feldy be kind of like the captains behind this music, right? Like not really experimenting with too many outside things. And like I think with my old projects, there was almost too much influence of these outside songwriting teams and producers that come in to help shape the thing kind of based on their opinion and I don't know, like sonic opinion about how things should be. And for us, it was just really simple just to be like, what you get is what you get. Like what you hear is what you get with the three of us, It's like authentic to who we are as people, as musicians. Feldy as a producer, like what you hear on these records isn't fabricated. It's who we are, which I love so much about that. And I think that just previous experiences with other songwriting camps and stuff like the Captain Cuts, those guys are amazing at what they do, but that wouldn't have been right for this project, right? So
Yeah, there's no like flavor of the month bullshit with this record, right? It's not like we're like trying to bring in like the coolest songwriters and stuff. It's like me, Nick, and Feldy in a room with guitars and drums, and me with like my iPhone writing, lyrics, and that's what this record is.
Yeah. And for you, how do you feel like you've evolved with your songwriting, especially now that you're opening up a little bit more with the music?
I mean, I feel like every day, I'm trying to get better as a songwriter, and just being able to like articulate my feelings and put them down into words, and when I do have inspiration and something pops into my head, learning how to kind of capitalize on it and like get that idea down so that I don't forget it. And it's a muscle at the end of the day. When I take time off and we're touring and I'm not writing songs, like getting back into that whole process it's a journey. And then when you're in the zone, you're in the zone, and I feel like we're definitely locked in for this record, and now I'm excited to put it out and go play these songs, dude.
Yeah, right. Now, how did you guys challenge each other while you guys were recording or writing, especially like when you guys are collaborating for, you 60 songs. I'm still shocked that you got to do 60 songs to what we hear now, 14.
I just think that the challenge I'll say for Nick is the fact that I overthink everything, and so I'll text him and be like, "Hey, I hate this song now," and he'll be like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this song sucks." And then like 2 days later, I'll be like, "Hey, the song doesn't suck. It's actually pretty good." So him like dealing with me being like all manic and overthinking it in my head that was probably the most challenging thing.
most challenging thing for me is having to track drums, looking at Travis butt naked in the studio. It's hard to focus and
It's a
get the right
privilege.
part.
It's a
That's
privilege.
part of the process, right?
It's a privilege. It's a privilege.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got.
So talk to me about these songs. Like, where do you feel that you guys felt the most challenged with the songs? It sounds like the songs kind of created themselves, but was there a particular song or two that was giving you the hardest time, whether either to finalize or even start writing?
There's a song on the record called "Break Me," and I rewrote that hook twice. I rewrote the verses like 3 times, to the point where it is now. And yeah, I'd say that was the most challenging song for me because the hook was always like in my head and I knew it was really good, and then it was just kind of finding how to craft everything else around the hook. So I'm gonna say "Break Me" for me.
Yeah, I'd say for me, it's a song called Maniac. We have an awesome girl named Lindsay Sterling that's featured on our album. She's our only feature. She's incredible, like violinist and artist and just amazing person. But that song was weird because she came in over like a simple little program drum beat and like just ripped violin for 2 hours and just like laid down all these crazy parts of stuff. And then it was like this big puzzle piece to go, how do we take all these different things that she's laid down and like use this part for the verse, use this part for the chorus, or this part's great for a little breakdown thing, and then build a track around her parts was like definitely the most interesting way we've approached a song on a record. but I think it speaks to the uniqueness of the song too. And not many bands out there featuring violin solos and acts, and we want to bring some of that stuff back. So we're stoked.
Yeah. Like was that something that you guys already had in mind as you guys were starting to write the song, or is this something that kind of evolved during the writing process?
No, I mean for that song specifically, we all showed up at the studio, with Lindsay, me, Nick, and Feldy, and there was nothing on paper yet. Like there was zero. So we created the song together, like in real time, which is cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I noticed something while listening to the record and even the previous record is like your voice sounds different to me. Why? Because like we're used to listening to you on a different kind of vocal tone or different kind of beats, right? And I spoke to another artist recently about the same situation. He's a rapper, but now he's doing like a rock project. And his fans were telling him like, "Oh, you should sing more. I didn't know you can sing." When in reality, he would always sing. It's just the beat was always different, so it's hard to tell. Do you feel like that was the same thing for you this time around, or do you feel like you actually had to like teach yourself how to sing the way that you do now?
I mean, I was always in bands, like from a teen, like I've been in pop punk bands and rock bands and stuff. So like that's how I quote unquote like learned how to sing. I never took vocal lessons or anything. I just kind of learned through experimentation. I think if anything, I dumbed down my voice back in the earlier days because it wasn't, I guess, like cool, to like have a range. And my voice is really high. I sing, I'm like super nasally, and I sing in like a high register. And so like back in the day, I would always try to like lower my voice and try to get this like lower tone. And what I love about Girlfriends is my voice sits in this really cool place that I feel like not a lot of other vocalists. I'm hitting notes that a lot of other vocalists can't hit in this genre, and I feel like that's kind of what sets our music apart.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that's crazy that you toned it down back in the day. Like I would have just been, if I can sing the way that you can, I would have just shown it every single time.
No more toning it down, dude. No more dumbing it down. We're coming for everyone now.
What about for you, Nick? Vocally, like, do you see yourself doing any vocals with this project, or did you do any vocals during the recording process of this album?
You did background vocals.
Yeah, probably some background vocals. I would never say never for anything, but to this point, no. Sticking behind the kit, I already got way too much cardio going on trying to keep up with the pace of these songs to try and add singing on top of that. But no, we'll see. Never say never. Maybe album 3, it'll, Travis and I will start an orchestral duo.
And it's all downhill from there, dude. Once we start doing all that shit, it's all downhill from there.
Now, as far as like the album as a whole, like what was like that moment where you guys individually or even together, like collectively, felt like the proudest for this record?
That's a good question. I think seeing what our song "High Again" is doing right now. We've never been like on the radio as a band, and so to see it being embraced by radio and played on like stations all across the country is super cool for us. And then also like now being invited to go play all these cool radio shows. That's super dope. Like just to see, something that we made at the Noise Nest, the morning after my birthday kind of turn into this moment for us has been super rewarding.
Yeah. I feel like Toaster for a Swim is also going there. Like I feel like it's gonna, did I just butcher that name?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, he looked at me, I was like, oh shit.
It's cool that you brought that song up. We love that song too a lot, but never thought about it in terms of like a radio capacity type of thing, but we love that song off the album. It's definitely probably top 3 for us.
Yeah, I think that song is doing to me right now what California did to me when you guys first dropped it. Cool. And like that was the reason why I was like, when the album dropped, I was like, we have to listen to this record, because California was like had such a like, I don't know, it impacted me so much because I haven't heard anything good in a long time. Everybody says they're doing pop punk, but it's not. And like this felt like, nostalgic, like back in the day when I was like actually going to these shows and like enjoying myself. So I feel like that song is doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's awesome you say that. Back to your comment earlier of just like listening to our first album and getting those feelings of kind of like old school times of early 2000s when this stuff was kind of going on. And it's weird because I don't think Travis and I ever felt that way about any of the music that we've created. Wow. Like we were just, at least for me, the first album, we were just like, oh wow, we're just kind of in here making songs. Yeah. And kind of the feedback from that to kind of get placed in those type of categories is super, I think, just kind of weird for us, but I think authentic to, I guess, how we grew up and what we love to do, right.
You can take the kid out of California, but you can't take the California out of the kid, man.
Now, as you guys continue to work together, what have you guys learned about each other in either like the writing process or even like the recording or the production process?
Well, Nick can play every instrument, so that's really cool and helpful. yeah, I feel like it's really dope on this record to be able to like start songs, just us in a studio, just be like, hey, you want to like pick up a guitar and just like write things, and we're able to kind of just like jump around and like do all this stuff. Can You Hear Me Now was completely produced by Nick and I. We like took it into Feldy's at the very end and kind of like added a couple more things. But I really love that song because him and I were just bored one night. We got invited to go to some show too, and we didn't go because we were like, nah, let's go to the studio. And we came out of the studio with that song. So like, yeah, I love that record.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's a cool one. Ends the album in a cool way. We actually did that one in Travis Barker's old studio in North Hollywood, which was cool. It's got this like interesting. Travis brought his like old acoustic guitar thing. I don't even know what it is, but it's had this cool sound to it when you started messing around with this little riff, and then built this kind of anthemic outro to the album that day, which was cool. Like all these out of tune old guitars, and just having fun, kind of being in a studio that all the old Blink records were made in, and that kind of energy was cool. And yeah, I think you can kind of hear that on the song a bit for sure.
There's also a hidden song on the album, but you have to get the physical CD if you want to hear it. But what was dope about
Nostalgic. See what I mean?
that's what we wanted to do. But what was dope is that we wrote it with Fat Mike from NoFX. So we showed up to Feldy's house. Mike was there. I've known Mike from like Warped Tour and stuff, but we've never like made any music together. And we wrote a song called Kinky Rabbit Club. But you have to get
That would be the title.
correct. You have to get the physical CD to hear. It's not on any streaming services. So.
Yeah.
What was it like collaborating with him for the first time?
Fun and funny and weird and he's just a ball of energy, man. He's so cool, and he's like a legend. And hearing him like kind of walk me through, like when I'm like cutting vocals and he's like telling me like talk about like dumbing down things, right? Like Feldy and I, we have this like weird thing with harmonies where we want to like build these like crazy, multiple layered harmonies, and Mike's like, no, just like one note harmony, like here, like punk rock, simplify it. So that was like a cool experience to kind of like get a new perspective on how he builds, harmonies and like vocal leads and stuff like that.
In terms of Fat Mike, he's just a cool dude. Yeah, he's just like eccentric guy, but like
Whips, chains, leather, bondage, ball gag in his mouth.
Yeah, he's like that guy, but like once again, legend. Like total respect, and just cool to have a guy like that in the room with us making songs for girlfriends.
Yeah. Now going back to the closer of the record, Can You Hear Me Now? I really loved the fact that it did feel so anthemic, and it felt like I had arrived at my destination. Like that's what I got from that song. Like, but I love that before we get to that song, that's the song Break Me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the song where you really like open up about things that you don't normally talk about. So that dynamic of going from Break Me to Can You Hear Me Now, was that already planned in the studio as you guys had already done these songs, or is this something that you guys were kind of figuring out how to place these two songs?
I mean, to Nick's credit, like he took a big role in sequencing the record, and I think it flows from top to bottom beautifully. It wasn't like a kind of meditated thing. I mean, the irony on Break Me is like I don't love my voice in the verses of that song, but it's intentional because like this whole song is these voices that are talking to me in my head, right? And so like I found it kind of cool and ironic all at the same time, to where like when I listen to it, I'm like, and I'm saying things that kind of like lift my shoulders up, but that's the whole point. It's like talking about, the battle that you have going on within you and within my own brain, like 24 hours a day. The fact that they go so well together, I think, is just a testament to our chemistry in the studio and how we create songs.
Yeah. And then as far as like when you guys are writing and just making your stuff so catchy, I feel like it's so hard to write and make something so catchy. Therapist, for example, I can't wait, like that's so like first listen, it's already stuck in my head. Like, how do you guys do this? Do you guys know that you guys are doing this, or is this like just natural? This is just how you guys write together?
That song, I just walked in and was like, I can't wait to tell my therapist about you. And I'm like, oh, that's the hook. And we just went in and cut it. I don't think it's like, we're not sitting down with like a pad and a paper, pen and paper, and we're not like, how do we make this the catchiest song we can? I think it's just like it's kind of being in the right place at the right time with like in the right headspace, and what comes out, it comes out. I mean, look, there's songs that didn't make the record that probably aren't as catchy as that, and that's why they're not on the record. Like you get a certain feeling and emotion evoked from listening to these songs, and I feel like we picked the 15 that resonated with us the most, and that's what you're hearing on the album.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Well, I'm excited for everyone to hear the record. Once you guys actually watch this interview, the record will be already out. But leading up, or once this is out, you guys are also heading out on your first proper tour, which is insane to think because you listen to the music and it sounds like you guys have been practicing the songs in front of an audience, because that's the kind of vibe I get when I listen to the record. What are you guys most excited about on this run that starts this weekend?
I mean, I'm just most excited about starting to do our own headline shows. To be honest, I think it's, we played 40 shows as a band and we have 2 albums out at this point. So it's time for us just to be out playing shows. Like the live piece of this band, I think, is what really, really brings these songs to life. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just, these are just a quick little 10-day, 12-day West Coast run. We plan to do much bigger tours and stuff all around the country, stuff in the UK, stuff hopefully in other parts of the world. We're going to the Azores in July, which is like we're playing in a volcano, so that'll be really cool. But yeah, I'm just excited to start playing our own shows and have more time to craft a longer set and yeah, do the whole thing.
Same with you?
Dude, I love being on the road. It's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Getting to go play these songs live and go and like see, different parts of the country and go meet people in real life. Everyone that like is commenting and liking and listening to the music and the songs, like getting to talk with them before the show or after the show, is definitely the most rewarding part, I'd say.